Why is Sneasel's gold and silver sprite brown and green? It only ever had this appearance this one time, and never again. It's not hard to see why Sneasel struggles in GSCNU. Its stab types, Dark and Ice, are both special attacking types, yet all its attacking power is pumped into its physical attack, mostly negating its offensive potential. Sneasel's bulk and defensive typing are also mediocre, and its move pool is shallow. Despite this though, Sneasel actually managed to have a place in GSCNU. It was never top tier, but it was legitimately good. 2020 was a simpler time for GSCNU, back when people hadn't realised the ideal strategies and playstyles. Sneasel was an example of something people used back then to good success. Nowadays, there's little reason to use Sneasel, but hey, it had its time. Let's analyse the Sharp Claw Pokemon. Sneasel is a decent offensive Pokemon in GSCNU, but the reason it was used once was because of its defensive utility. Sneasel is one of only 3 dark types in GSCNU, alongside Houndour and Murkrow. While this does give it added weaknesses, it also provides it an invaluable psychic immunity. Xatu is the best Pokemon in GSCNU, and Sneasel is a near perfect counter to it. Psychic does nothing to Sneasel, while Hidden Power Ice or Electric deal pitiful damage. Xatu can use Drill Peck, but it's a very uncommon option, and Sneasel has Moonlight to shrug it off. Moonlight allows Sneasel to stick around and switch into Xatu long term. Moonlight only takes up 1 move slot, unlike Rest and Sleep Talk, so Sneasel is able to fit Screech on its moveset. Xatu is the single most important and common Pokemon in GSCNU, so getting free turns against it is very useful. Sneasel is a decent switch into Pokemon like Dugong and Chinchou, though they can both cripple it with status. Sneasel is then able to use Xatu as offensive momentum. Sneasel is tied with Persian as the second fastest Pokemon in GSCNU, so outspeeds everything that isn't named Dugtrio. This makes it decent at revenge killing Pokemon like Fearow and Magmar if they are low health. Offensively, Sneasel has to use non-stab physical attacks like Frustration and Dynamic Punch off its 95 physical attack. Frustration is your basic attack, while Dynamic Punch is used for Magnemite, Rock types, and increased pressure on normal types. Sneasel doesn't earn Sword Stance this gen, so Screech is its best way to make offensive pressure. Sneasel is able to 2-KO most of the tier's Pokemon when they are at -2 defense, which combined with spikes and its amazing speed, can make it a dangerous offensive threat. Sneasel can use moves like Toxic, Nightmare, and Thief, but they don't match the consistency of Screech. Sneasel is a good partner for Pokemon that dislike Xatu, such as Kingler, Primeape, and Gloom. Spikes are also mandatory alongside Sneasel to make the most effective use out of Screech. Sneasel's entire niche is walling Xatu, and then trying to pose an offensive threat after. It makes sense why it was popular in 2020, but we are no longer in 2020. Right after the year ended, people realised Sneasel was just kinda bad. Sneasel has a multitude of issues. While it is immune to Psychic, it is also weak to Rock, Fire, and Fighting, and it has no useful resistances beyond that. Aside from Xatu, Sneasel checks almost nothing else. Numerous top Pokemon, like Weezing, Magmar, Statler, and Primeape, all have an easy time breaking through it. A Xatu counter is not super in demand anyway. Sure, Xatu is the best Pokemon, but other Pokemon can beat Xatu and check other metagame threats, like Dugong, Octillery, Ninetales, and Magnemite. Sneasel is very vulnerable to Paralysis and Toxic, since it doesn't use Rest Talk. If Sneasel is ever paralysed by, say, a Chinchou Thunder, then it becomes completely worthless. Moonlight only has APP too, and that runs out quick considering how often Sneasel has to spam Moonlight against the likes of Octillery or Dugong. Needing to rely on Screech and Dynamic Punch can be inconsistent due to their accuracy, and even with Screech, Sneasel struggles to break Pokemon like Weezing. Sneasel can also give free entry to Pineco, a terrible trait in this tier. Houndour is a far superior dark type overall. Houndour walls Hidden Power Xatu and it learns Pursue, letting it chip Xatu for huge damage as it switches out. Houndour is more dangerous offensively thanks to its Fire Stab and Sunny Day. As a result, Sneasel is not worth using in the current metagame. Houndour and Magnemite are better Pokemon if you want to abuse Xatu's dominance. After 2020 ended, Sneasel disappeared from play entirely, and it eventually dropped down to GSCPU. It's a nice part of modern GSCNU's history though, so I wanted to cover it on this fine Sunday.